Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back here with part 2 of my quirky idea called Micro for technology, which I think would be quite ironic if ideas like this worked, considering I'm not very good at tech myself. So I'm just trying to show my M.K.S jumper as I was in the last video. Anyway, hope you check out part 1 if you haven't done so. And as ever, I'd love to hear what you think. And as I put in the posted in the description, I dream that August. Well, I pray that August will be a positive month somehow, as it's my birth month. I'd love it for it to be a positive month, not just for me, but preferably for the whole world, really, for all living things. That's a bit corny, but symbolically, I'd love my birth month to be a positive month for the whole world, and that sort of thing. But anyway, I'll try not to waffle. I have a bad habit of waffling, but yeah, I dream for and pray for August to be a positive month for all people and all living things. And after this video, hopefully I'll take my dog for a walk and get some fresh air and that sort of thing. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and as ever, I'd love to hear what you think. So here goes. So number 11, I would love to support disadvantaged groups in technology. I know a lot of groups will try and do that, but I think it'd be great if we collaborate and work together in terms of supporting disadvantaged groups, underrepresented groups, marginalized groups, or whatnot, like disabled people, people with physical, mental, and stroke or learning disabilities, women, people of colour, or other such groups, especially in developing countries, and in particular across Africa and Australasia, like Indigenous Australasians and Africans especially, and hopefully bringing them together and helping them to network with each other and teach each other and learn from each other and things like that. So as ever, I'd love to hear other people's ideas as well, what on each of these points as well, what your least favourite ideas are and what your most favourite ideas are, but also what you could suggest, like how we could get more disadvantaged people into tech, how we could change things and things like that. And also like companies like Microsoft and I.B.M, I think, and possibly others, and others could follow suit as well in tech, or offer training programs for people with autism, possibly dyslexia, ADHD and other such neurodiverse conditions, especially autism. But I think it'd be great if they provided such training for my fellow dyspraxic and stroke or dyslexic people, and people with ADHD as well. Basically neurodiverse people generally, who again can network and learn from each other, but especially again in developing countries, in parts of Africa especially, as I say, Indigenous Africans and possibly even Australasians with learning disabilities or neurodiverse conditions, or whatever you want to call them. So basically, I hope that Microsoft's and I.B.M's and Dell's autistic hiring program will be expanded to parts of Africa especially, and also for other neurodiverse conditions like dyspraxics, dyslexics, and possibly even people with ADHDers as I call them, and people from the West or more affluent areas could go and mentor their fellow ADHDers or dyslexics or dyspraxics or autistics and that sort of thing, or neurodiverse people generally, or even disabled people generally, in developing countries perhaps in the future, or if not, even online, if they're unable to travel for any reason. Number 12, on that note, I would love for people to mentor Indigenous Africans and Australasians and run programs for Indigenous Africans and Australasians in STEM generally and tech in particular. Number 13, I'd love to address some of the issues and problems we might face, for instance, in parts of Africa, the problems with like internal conflicts, slow internet access, lack of electricity and things like that. Number 14, on that note, as again, I hope we address those issues and look at solutions to such problems. For instance, providing faster internet access, more access to electricity, but also to tech training and things like that, as I've talked before about. And hopefully Indigenous Africans and Australasians can work together, excuse me, on solving problems as well, not just for themselves, but for others. Number 15, I would love to hear from Indigenous Africans and Australasians about their thoughts on these ideas and how they think they could be empowered or what their issues are. So we can look at their issues and how to empower them. And I hope that that leaders from across Africa, from all 54 or 55 countries across Africa, will give all their citizens access to tech training and opportunities, and use tech for good. And it will hopefully help to resolve conflicts across Africa and also empower, as I say, Indigenous Australasian communities. But for instance, if as many of the approximately 1 billion or so Africans as possible worked together on tech, and providing each other with tech opportunities, training each other, teaching each other, hopefully, and that sort of thing. Hopefully, this will mean that they will be networking together, and it will hopefully end some of the divisions because they work towards the shared goal of empowering themselves and each other in terms of tech. And I think it'd be great to encourage Indigenous Africans, Africans generally, to see that by working together they can achieve a lot more, and it'll be better for themselves as well as each other, if you know what I mean. So their own lives will improve, basically, if they support each other, I believe. Number 16, on that note, I would love to discuss and have committees and think tanks on ways to bring NGOs, non-government organisations, that is, charities and other such organisations and associations and political groups and whoever else, like Friends of Africa and whatnot, together to work together on solving these problems and what are the best ways to empower Indigenous Africans and Australasians or other marginalised groups in terms of tech and things like that. I know that there are, I don't want to stereotype African countries or Indigenous Australasians as all being poor or whatever, but I basically I do want to give them opportunities that they might lack and empower them, and hopefully in the future they won't be seen as groups that are behind or whatnot, or hopefully they'll redefine stereotypes. I think if they work together on this, that will help them to do so. Number 17, in my imagination, as I say, in my dreams, in my wildest dreams, all the tech companies around the world, all companies that are involved in tech, including ones in Japan, Korea, America, UK, all over Europe, and all over the world, basically, including India, I forget that one, will work together, and especially Asian and African nations, like Asian nations could teach people across Africa in return for trade deals, as I've talked before about. And on that note, like African countries could say, you can only have access to our markets and resources if you're going to train 30 or 40 or even hundreds or thousands, like maybe 100 or 1,000 or even more of our people, they might say, in terms of tech. If you support them and train them and help with these projects, then we'll give you access to trade with us and to market, so they can put themselves in a good position rather than always be exploited. So I think it'd be a great project for Pan-Africanists. But yeah, hopefully that in return, like, they'll help countries like India as well and look at what they have in common, the fact they were colonized and things like that. Number 18, again, I would love to have like tech for good. I know it's another idea again that I've talked about, but yeah, I'd love to see how tech can be used for good to bring people together, to tackle crime, poverty, root causes of crime and things like that, and basically monitor potential threats like terrorism, climate change, global warming, or any other potential threats. Number 19, I'd love to have like hashtags like hashtag Indigenous Australasians and Africans in software development, and hashtag supporting Indigenous Africans and Australasians in software development. And I'd love to like encourage Friends of Africa and groups like that to come together to support Indigenous Africans and Australasians in software development, and like have groups and opportunities as much as possible, like the new Australian government, for instance, but other political groups and movements supporting such initiatives. And number 20, also supporting, on that note, hashtag Indigenous Africans and Australasians in terms of STEM and things like that. And also the elders can teach the youngest what they know, or basically people can pass knowledge on. In this case, in terms of tech, I suppose young people could probably have a lot that they can teach older people. So I think they should work together to encourage each other. I'd love to encourage like compassion, sympathy, empathy, joy, love, and things like that across Africa, like tackle violence and bring people together so they don't work against each other, but rather work for each other and help each other, as well as, I say, Indigenous Australasians and other groups who can network together and support each other, basically. My main priority would be, as I say, supporting Indigenous Africans and Australasians, but again, other groups that might often face disadvantages, so we say often marginalised groups, could perhaps have some sort of connection with Indigenous Africans and Australasians, especially from disadvantaged backgrounds, for instance, disabled people and poor people, so they can network together. Anyway, sorry for waffling, and as ever, I'd love to hear your opinions, and I am out. Peace and love.